Not everyone wants you to succeed, even people who claim to love you. Some prefer you to be small and manageable. These silent saboteurs smile to your face while panicking about your growth behind your back. If you are starting late in life, you do not have the luxury of time to waste on friction or negativity. Every minute of delay is a minute that costs you dearly. You must identify the people who are neutralizing your ambition, often unknowingly, and protect your mind against them. The principles of individual achievement that I have documented offer a specific defense against these influences, allowing you to build an impenetrable fortress around your purpose. We will begin immediately with the most dangerous saboteur of all, the one who uses duty as a weapon, the duty trap. Overcoming the fear of criticism. The most dangerous dream enders are often your closest relatives who end your initiative in the name of duty. They smile and say they are protecting you, but I tell you plainly, they are actually binding you to mediocrity through the ancient enemy of man, the fear of criticism. This fear is the primary reason why men and women of great potential live small lives, forever confined by the opinions of others. It is a spiritual bondage that is enforced not with chains, but with disapproval. It is the tax placed upon the mind that dares to be original. Hear me now. You are behind. You feel the clock ticking. You look at your peers and see them established, and you know you must move faster than they did. The years that you lost demand a new speed in your action and a new clarity in your thought. You require a singular, directed focus that cannot be fractured by doubt. Yet, the moment you decide to take decisive, purposeful action, the moment you decide to break free from the patterns that have kept you poor or stalled, a voice speaks up, usually from the dining table or across the living room, and that voice is rarely one of encouragement. It is designed to slow your momentum to match their own comfort. They view your speed as a threat to their stability. Your desire for growth causes them distress, and they rationalize their distress as concern for you. It is a voice that says, be realistic. It is a voice that says, that's too risky for someone your age. It is a voice that says you have a duty to stay comfortable, to keep things the way they are, to think of us first. The moment you hear this, you must recognize that your personal ambition is being held hostage by another person's fear of change. They are asking you to trade your freedom for their temporary peace. They desire your predictability more than your prosperity. This is the sound of social heredity binding you, and the fear of criticism acting through a loved one. They are not trying to be malicious. In their minds, they believe they are doing their duty to protect you from the pain of failure. But I tell you, a mind that fears criticism cannot exercise initiative. And without initiative, your great desire, the very thing you are depending on to catch up, will perish on the vine. Your purpose requires action, and action is impossible when you are paralyzed by the thought of disapproval. Initiative is the engine of all achievement. Fear of criticism is the brake. The brake must be released if the engine is to move. You feel the guilt. You hear the whispers. My family thinks I am crazy for starting over. You feel selfish for pursuing a new path later in life. This feeling is not just emotion. It is a spiritual anesthetic administered by those closest to you who subconsciously fear your potential success more than your present failure. Why? Because your success changes their routine. Your success forces them to confront their own lack of initiative. They are comfortable with your mediocrity because it makes them feel safe. Their comfort is built upon your stagnation. They do not want to see you cross a threshold that they were too afraid to approach. Your victory highlights their own surrender. I once knew of a man named Guglielmo Marconi, the inventor of the wireless telegraph. When he announced that he had discovered a principle through which he could send messages through the air without wires, his friends and family had him taken into custody and examined in a psychopathic hospital. They believed they were doing their duty to protect a madman. In reality, they were attacking a genius because they lacked his vision and the mental capacity to comprehend his specialized knowledge. They could not grasp his purpose, so they classified him as dangerous. Marconi was condemned by his own associates in the name of duty. He went on to change the world. The world's greatest pioneers are always condemned by the consensus of the fearful. You are never judged by those ahead of you only by those you are leaving behind. The fear of criticism is the ruination of the soul. It makes men and women stay in jobs they hate, in towns they despise, and in relationships that neutralize their desire, all because they cannot face the raised eyebrow or the quiet disapproval of their circle. This fear is more devastating than the fear of poverty itself, because it prevents the individual from taking the steps necessary to escape it. It is the root of indecision and procrastination. It makes the familiar prison feel safer than the unknown path to freedom. You see, duty does not require any person to submit to the negation of his personal ambitions and the right to live his own life in his own way. Your greatest duty is to the person you see in the mirror, the one who holds the power to enact your definite chief aim. This is the highest form of service you can offer to the world, for your success provides a map for others to follow. A leader serves the world best by mastering himself first. If you are starting late, you cannot afford to carry this burden. You must recognize the duty lie for what it is. Your refusal to accept this lie is your first step toward financial independence. The moment you realize the chains are psychological, they begin to dissolve. Action steps. Building immunity against criticism. I call upon you now to take these immediate steps to safeguard your mind against the fear of criticism, especially when it wears the mask of familial duty. Recognize the duty lie. Acknowledge this essential truth. Duty does not require any person to submit to the negation of his personal ambitions and the right to live his own life in his own way. Repeat this truth daily. Your first duty is to realize your purpose. Engrave this law into your conscious thought until it controls your reaction to every critic. Let this be the charter of your personal freedom. Understand that true loyalty is to the future you, not the past expectations of others. Close the doors. You have the power to close the doors of your mind tightly against all people who depress or discourage you in any way. This is an application of your willpower, which must be exercised daily like a muscle. Stop sharing your most ambitious plans with those you know will criticize them. Your plan is private until it is successful. Secrecy protects initiative. Your power lies in the execution, not the announcement. Keep your counsel close until the results speak for themselves. The mirror commitment. Stand before a mirror each morning and tell yourself that you are responsible primarily to the person you see looking back. This is your foundation for autosuggestion. Refuse to allow relatives, associates, or friends to wreck your life in the name of duty or tradition. Look yourself in the eye and state your definite chief aim aloud. Let the sound of your own voice reinforce your belief until you are immune to the opinions of others. You command your belief. The world does not. The voice of your own commitment must be louder than the noise of the crowd. This daily ritual is the inoculation against doubt. The man who refuses to be bound by the mediocrity of his circle will soon find that the greatest reward is not the money he earns, but the self-respect he wins. Your life is yours to command. Move now with initiative and let your action be the only answer you give to your critics. The friction creator. Why you cannot fix toxic partners. I must speak to you now about a subtle, slow-acting poison that can ruin any chance of late life success. Friction. This is the internal corrosion that eats away at the foundation of organized planning. It is the sabotage that occurs within the very walls you believe are protecting you. Some people smile while quietly undermining your work through constant friction, negativity, and disagreement. They do not have to directly attack your plan. They simply have to create enough disorder in your immediate environment to drain your persistence and your organized planning. They are masters of emotional sabotage, trading your peace of mind for their own chaotic satisfaction. They create a spiritual tax on your time and energy. This tax is levied hourly, stealing the capital you need for success. If you are trying to build a late life success, be it in business, a new career, or a creative endeavor with a partner or associate who is not in perfect harmony with you, I tell you plainly, you are doomed to fail. You are behind already. You do not have the energy to waste fighting battles inside your own camp. The cost of internal conflict is the complete neutralization of your efforts. A divided house cannot stand against the force of external competition. Internal division ensures external defeat. The most potent force available to man is the mastermind principle. It is the coordination of knowledge and effort between two or more people in a spirit of perfect harmony for the attainment of a definite purpose. But look closely at the definition: perfect harmony. The collective power of the mastermind will only function when the individuals involved share a unified emotional and mental atmosphere. When you introduce friction, you neutralize this power. The friction acts as a short circuit, preventing the flow of compounded spiritual energy. The mastermind is an extension of your own power, and friction is the denial of that extension. The greatest spiritual forces are wasted in the maintenance of disharmony. Think of it as mind chemistry. When two minds blend in harmony, they create a third, invisible force, a spiritual power that multiplies the potential of both. But when two minds are in friction, they do not multiply. They divide and then negate. The energy you should be directing toward your definite chief aim is instead spent on petty arguments, resentment, and emotional repair. Every argument is a withdrawal from your bank of persistence. The emotional debt created by friction can never be repaid. The friction creator trades your future for their present drama. I have seen the bones of great enterprises lie bleaching in the sun because the people involved failed to maintain harmony. Consider the story of the two owners of a prosperous school. For many years they worked together in perfect sync, building a thriving institution. They had success. They had purpose. But then their wives began arguing over a matter as trivial as who was the better piano player. The husbands, instead of commanding their own emotions, took up the quarrel. They became bitter enemies, allowing the simple disagreement to fracture their entire relationship. The tension neutralized their cooperation. Their planning fell into disarray, and the school, once a monument to their united effort, soon collapsed. The bones of that once prosperous school lie bleaching in the sun today, a testament to the devastation caused by the lack of harmony. The smallest discord can undo years of organized effort. Never permit a personal vanity to ruin a shared vision. The foundation of success is mental agreement, not material assets. You may be saying, my business partner is negative, or my spouse is toxic, but I have to make it work. You are trying to change the negative person. I tell you, you are wasting the time you do not have. Do not try to change a negative person. Replace them. Change only comes from within. You cannot impose it from without. Your time is better spent finding a loyal partner than reforming a difficult one. The attempt to reform a mind that resists change is a form of spiritual procrastination. Your immediate environment is everything. It is the foundation upon which your faith and your autosuggestion are built. If your environment is constantly being bombarded by the chaotic energy of a friction creator, a business associate who is not loyal, a family member who constantly disagrees, a partner who secretly resents your ambition, you are fighting a war on two fronts, and you will lose the war of time. The mastermind is a source of compounded power, and friction is the anti-master mind. Action steps. Applying the mastermind rule. I give you these actions for preserving your vital energy and enforcing harmony in your life. Audit your alliances. You must sit down immediately and determine if your closest associates in business and in life are in perfect sympathy and harmony with your purpose. If their primary contribution is disagreement, doubt, or criticism, then the alliance must be broken. It is better to face criticism from the outside than be dragged down to failure by friction on the inside. Do not tolerate disloyalty to your definite purpose. Make the audit swift and unforgiving. Your future depends on it. Ruthless self-interest in the choice of partners is a prerequisite for financial success. Apply the mastermind rule. Remember the law. Two minds will not blend, nor can they be coordinated unless the element of perfect harmony is present. If you are attempting to coordinate efforts with someone who continually introduces antagonism or who lacks loyalty to your definite chief aim, you have not built a master mind. You have built a neutralizer. Carnegie himself, in building his massive steel empire, had to replace members of his master mind who could not adapt loyally to the spirit of the group. He chose loyalty and harmony over temporary skill. Skill without loyalty is a hidden liability. The spiritual affinity of the group is more valuable than any individual talent. Look not just at competence, but at commitment to the group's harmonious spirit. Remove friction with decision. You must exercise decision and persistence. Do not try to reason with or change a negative person. That is a form of procrastination. The moment you identify a person or a relationship that actively introduces friction into your life and drains your energy for no productive gain, you must remove them. Your commitment to your purpose must outweigh your commitment to familiarity. You are not being harsh. You are being obedient to the law of achievement. Your survival requires organized planning, and organized planning is impossible without harmony. A quick, clean break saves more time than years of slow decay. This is not a suggestion. This is a law. Your mastermind group, even if it is just your spouse or one trusted advisor, must be a source of compounded power, not compounded friction. Guard that inner circle with the ferocity of a lion. You must be ruthless with any person who wastes the time you cannot replace. If this message is resonating, if you are seeing the hidden chains of your own environment for the first time, then I invite you to join this channel. Subscribe now. We are building a community of late bloomers and purposeful achievers who refuse to be bound by the mistakes of the past. Your path to liberation begins with a choice, and that choice is often the decision to seek truth and companionship among those who also demand freedom. Press the subscribe button now. The Imitator, escaping the pull of the crowd. I now turn your attention to the most insidious saboteur of all, the one who does not attack you, but merely exists in a state of failure, and by their presence silently pulls you down. This saboteur operates through sheer inertia. It is the silent, pervasive drag of mediocrity that feels like gravity itself. You may feel behind in life because you have absorbed the habits and fears of the mediocre people around you through a subtle but potent spiritual force, social heredity. These saboteurs don't need to critique you. They simply exist in a state of confusion, accepting poverty, and living without a definite chief aim. And like a hypnotic rhythm, they pull you down to their level until you become an imitator of their failure. You are submerged in the collective apathy of your circle. The power of the crowd is always to depress the individual will. You become, through absorption, the average of your 5 closest associates. You say, I wasted my 20s partying, or I feel stuck in a rut because everyone my age is slowing down. This is not an accident of time. It is the natural, inevitable result of your environment acting upon your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is a recording mechanism, and the constant input from your environment determines the script it plays out. It accepts the emotional atmosphere around it as the standard for your life. Your mind is a field, and your environment is the seed. You cannot plant corn and expect to harvest gold. Likewise, you cannot continuously associate with people who have low faith, no purpose, and poor habits, and expect to manifest riches. The mind feeds upon the materials supplied by the environment. If your environment is steeped in debt, complaint, and low expectation, your mind will naturally reproduce those conditions in your own life. Your fate is not sealed by your genetics, but by your daily exposure. You must starve the old environment and feed the new ambition. I tell you, the tragedy of the late bloomer is not the years they wasted alone, but the years they wasted surrounded by the wrong people. The environment they choose today is the only thing that can redeem the years they lost yesterday. You must replace the destructive patterns of the past with the disciplined rhythm of purposeful action. The moment you change your associates, you change your trajectory. Your redemption is tied to your relocation. I once raised a pet crow, an intelligent and domestic bird. It lived happily in my house and offered fine companionship. But one day it heard the loud call of a flock of wild crows engaged in a fight. The sound, the rhythm of the crowd, called to the bird's natural heritage. The pet crow flew to them, was abused and injured by the wild flock, and then vanished forever, reverting to the wild. Social heredity had robbed me of a fine pet because the bird absorbed the nature of the wild crowd. The collective low vibration negated the individual potential. Even domesticated potential will regress to the wild if exposed to the wrong influence. The law of suggestion is far more powerful than the law of instruction. Your mind is no different. It is constantly being subjected to the autosuggestion of your environment. When you are surrounded by people who constantly complain about the economy, who accept debt as a normal condition of life, or who fear taking risks, your subconscious mind hears this rhythm and accepts it as reality. It trains you to imitate their patterns of defeat, even if you consciously desire success. You are struggling against the magnetic pull of the crowd. The crowd says, stay comfortable, don't take risks. It is too late. You must break this hypnotic rhythm if you wish to survive and thrive. Your task is to deliberately reprogram your mind by changing the material it feeds on. The choice of your environment is the choice of your destiny. Action steps: reclaiming your environment. You must make decisive, immediate changes to the field in which you plant your mind. Change your environment with decision. Realize this eternal law. The mind feeds upon the materials supplied by the environment. If your environment is not to your liking, if it is not constantly whispering messages of faith, desire, and persistence into your ears, then you must change it. This may mean moving, changing jobs, or reallocating your free hours. Exercise the principle of decision, and do not procrastinate on this. Delay in this matter is equivalent to surrender. Move your body to a place where success is the expectation, not the exception. Your physical position must align with your mental purpose. Select new associates. Deliberately seek the company of people who influence you to think and act for yourself. Mastermind does not have to be formal. Find people who are actively demanding riches and receiving them. Listen to their speech, study their routines, and let their habits become the new rhythm you absorb. The fastest way to absorb success is to surround yourself with the evidence of it. Look for those who embody the success you desire. You must build a new social environment to replace the old heredity. The fastest way to learn a new rhythm is to surround yourself with those who practice it daily. Break the hypnotic rhythm. You must stop associating with those who accept poverty, mediocrity, or failure as the normal condition of life. Stop consuming the media, the news, and the conversations that reinforce doubt and fear. Instead, use the power of autosuggestion every morning to define your own reality. State aloud your new identity. I associate only with those who encourage my definite chief aim. My environment reflects my ambition. Your words must enforce your isolation from mediocrity. You must become an intellectual hermit in the midst of a socializing world. You are not too late, but you do not have time to waste struggling against the inertia of others. The cost of one toxic hour with a mediocrity imitator is far higher than the cost of 1 hour spent in solitary organized planning toward your goal. The price of familiarity is servitude. Choose wisely. The Intolerant Egoist, locking horns versus locking hands. I now bring to your attention a silent destroyer who poisons your well of tolerance and wastes your most precious asset, your time. This is the Intolerant Egoist, the person who smiles to your face but is secretly consumed by jealousy, resentment, and a desire to see you fail. They view your potential success as a personal affront to their own limited achievement. Their smallness demands that you remain small. Their primary function is distraction and mental warfare. They will try to lock horns with you in futile combat to ruin your reputation, slow your momentum, or simply distract you from your main purpose. You must spot them, understand their nature, and absolutely refuse to engage. Your time is too valuable to be traded for their ego. Every minute spent proving your worth to a small mind is a minute stolen from your fortune. The fool demands your attention. The wise man commands his focus. Intolerance is the opposite of the mastermind principle. The mastermind demands harmony and cooperation. Intolerance demands conflict and superiority. When someone approaches you with an intolerant spirit, driven by ego and jealousy, they are trying to draw you down into a fight where all parties lose. The only thing won in such a battle is the satisfaction of a fragile ego. Do not accept the invitation to their field of failure. Your engagement legitimizes their smallness. If you are a late starter, your energy must be conserved and directed solely toward your definite chief aim. The moment you engage in petty arguments, workplace sabotage, or social feuds, you forfeit that energy. You are drawn into the negative mental vibration of the egoist, and you temporarily lose the spiritual command over your own life. You sacrifice your poise for their paltry game. Poise is power. Anger is surrender. The man who controls his temper controls his destiny. I have seen even the greatest of men fall victim to this destructive impulse. Think of the intense rivalry between Andrew Carnegie and his partner, Henry C. Frick. These two men, who together built the greatest steel empire the world had ever known, eventually locked horns in a fight to the finish. They allowed a personal feud to escalate into a war of pride and ego. They refused to speak. They launched bitter legal battles. They built spitefully tall skyscrapers to overshadow one another in New York. Their intolerance led to a bitterness so intense that, even when Frick was fading, Carnegie still tried to mend the rift, but it was too late. The bones of their once magnificent professional relationship lay bleaching in the sun, ruined by a feud that was entirely profitable to neither of them. The pursuit of revenge is the most costly endeavor known to man. It consumed their spiritual capital long before it consumed their financial capital. Intolerance is a self-inflicted wound disguised as justice. You see, the cost of being right often outweighs the profit of being free. The intolerant egoist is often consumed by one or more of the 7 adverse horsemen of failure. Their desire is not to build, but to neutralize your building. They want to see you fail because your success is a painful mirror reflecting their own lack of initiative and persistence. They cannot bear the thought of another man rising above their self-imposed limitations. Their criticism is simply a veiled confession of their own weakness. The moment you realize the source of the attack is internal fear, you can disarm it. You must recognize that when you feel prepared to lock horns with someone, it is nearly always more profitable to lock hands instead, or, if that is impossible, to simply walk away without a word. Your willpower must be used to retain your mental poise, not to win a verbal battle. If you are drawn into conflict, you are temporarily exchanging your definite chief aim for the egoist's aim of ruination. A leader commands his purpose. A servant is commanded by his anger. Do not let their failure become your distraction. Action steps: retaining your poise. Use these instructions to conserve your energy and maintain your tolerance. Refuse to lock horns. Make this a non-negotiable principle. When you feel prepared to lock horns with someone, remember it is always more profitable to lock hands instead. If locking hands is impossible, if the person is driven by deep intolerance, you must simply refuse the engagement. Do not return the email. Do not reply to the insult. Use your time to advance your purpose instead. Your advancement is the ultimate retaliation. Your success is the only victory that truly matters. Your focus is the most powerful weapon you possess. Kill off suspicion. Intolerance is suspicion multiplied. If you find yourself suspecting the motives of every potential mastermind ally, you have not the seed of success in you. Immediately replace that suspicion with the conscious thought, I assume good faith unless proven otherwise, preserving your mental capital for organized planning. Suspicion poisons the well of faith and blocks cooperation. Trust is the necessary lubricant of a successful mastermind. Do not paralyze yourself with the fears of others. The golden rule of action: do not retaliate in kind. If you retaliate against an angry, intolerant person, you are drawn down to their mental level. You have voluntarily given up your superior position of organized planning and poise. Refuse to become angry, and you retain your poise. Remember that tolerance is the one quality that can transform an enemy into a potential mastermind ally, or at the very least, a neutralized threat. Your silence in the face of petty intolerance is the sound of your willpower winning. The highest mark of discipline is the ability to walk away from a fight you are provoked to enter. Respond to anger with silence, and you possess their energy. You are a builder. Your work is to create value, not to win arguments. Every hour spent in conflict is an hour of late starter time you can never reclaim. Your silence is a statement of superiority. Before we proceed to the final law of protection, I want to hear from you. We are all on a path of redemption, seeking to catch up on lost time. Tell me in the comments, what is your age? And what is the specific financial or career goal you are pursuing right now? By declaring your age and your definite chief aim, you are using the principle of autosuggestion to reinforce your commitment. Declare your purpose and your timeline in the comments below. Let us use this channel as a mastermind of shared purpose. The fearmonger, building your wall of immunity. The final saboteur is not a relative, not a partner, and not an enemy, but the very environment of public conversation and media that plants the seeds of fear and worry in your mind disguised as reality. This is the fearmonger. They are everywhere, and they are masters of the seventh basic adversity, susceptibility to negative influences. They profit from your anxiety and thrive on mass paralysis. Their business model is based on your mental surrender. To succeed now, when you need mental clarity and faith more than ever, you must use your willpower to build a wall of immunity against these negative influences. You must become your own censor and filter. You have a sacred duty to protect your subconscious mind from contagion. The information you consume determines the thoughts you generate. The late starter is particularly vulnerable to the fearmonger. Why? Because you are already aware that you have time to make up. Any news of recession, market collapse, health crisis, or political instability resonates in your mind as proof that you have waited too long and that the time for opportunity has passed. The fearmonger says, "You are too old to take risks. It is too dangerous now." This perpetual stream of negativity is simply a form of hypnotic suggestion designed to keep the masses paralyzed. They are selling you fear disguised as necessary caution. It is the constant programming of failure. But I tell you, fear is merely a state of mind, and therefore it is subject to your control. The subconscious mind does not distinguish between fact and fiction. It merely executes the instructions it is given, particularly those instructions mixed with emotion. When the media or a friend plants a seed of fear and you accept it with worry, your subconscious mind begins to translate that harmful thought into physical and material reality. Your reality is manufactured by the thoughts you permit to enter your mind. The greatest battlefield is the 6 inches between your ears. If you lose the battle of the mind, the battle of circumstance is already lost. You must understand the profound danger of accepting fear. I recall the tragic story of Joseph Grant, a prosperous bank official who committed what I call mental self-destruction. Grant believed he was disgraced by a supposed error in his financial reports, an error that, in fact, did not exist. He became convinced he would be ruined. His mind acted upon that harmful thought, fueled by the terrible fear of poverty and criticism, until his physical body failed him and he passed away. He was physically sound, but he executed his own adverse sentence by allowing a fear-based autosuggestion to consume his mind. The mind will translate a thought driven by fear into physical reality, and that reality can be the negation of your financial life just as surely as it ended Grant's physical life. The fear of failure often causes more damage than failure itself. Grant passed away not from a mistake, but from the fear of a mistake. You must choose your thoughts as carefully as you choose your associates. You cannot afford to let other people's worries about the stock market, their complaints about their ailments, or their fear of the future, Occupy the space in your mind reserved for your definite chief aim and organized planning. The mind cannot hold two conflicting thoughts simultaneously. Choose the thought of faith. Faith is the antidote to all forms of external fear. You are seeking to catch up, and that requires speed. Fear slows you down. It causes hesitation, which gives the man who did not wait the very advantage you are trying to overcome. Haste is not speed. Clear purpose is speed. Action steps. Finalizing your mental fortress. Your final task in this liberation is to make your mind an impenetrable fortress of faith and purpose. Build a wall of immunity. Recognize that you have a will power, and put it into constant use to build a wall of immunity against negative influences. This is not passive, it is an active defense. Every time a fear-based thought from an external source enters your mind, consciously replace it with a stated autosuggestion of your definite chief aim. This is the spiritual discipline of a commander. Let your purpose be the sentinel at the gate of your mind. Filter every suggestion through the lens of your purpose. Your willpower is the shield of your consciousness. Clean your medicine chest and your conversation. Throw away the practice of speaking about ailments and health worries. Do not permit others to discuss their troubles, their failures, or their hypochondria with you. This practice of dwelling on negative physical or financial states is a subtle form of negative autosuggestion that drains your vitality and your persistence. Health and wealth are attracted to the mind that is fixed on their achievement, not on their loss. Your words must be commands of health, not petitions for sympathy. Your conversation must reflect the life you are building, not the one you are escaping. You cannot affirm lack and expect abundance. Close the door with purpose. Keep your mind closed tightly against all people who depress or discourage you in any way. This final act of closing the door is a supreme act of decision. You must decide daily, even hourly, that you will only entertain thoughts that move you toward your purpose. The moment you permit the voice of the fearmonger to take hold, you are effectively delaying your success. The protection of your mind is the first step toward the command of your life. Let your aim be the filter that determines the content of your thoughts. Your ultimate freedom is a matter of mental self-command. Command your thoughts, and you command your results. The difference between the man who succeeds late in life and the man who waits is only the daily, constant application of willpower against the fearmongers. The man who refuses to serve becomes the one who commands. Let us now bring every law, every truth, and every warning to its final conclusion. Identity. For until you transform who you are, no change in your habits, no change in your income, no change in your environment will last. The outer world will always revert to match the inner man. The only lasting change is a change of identity. You must stop asking for permission and start giving commands. This world does not obey the man who performs. It obeys the man who commands, and no man can command until he first refuses to serve. I do not speak of service to others, for there is honor and profit in building, in giving, in contributing through your purpose. I speak of servitude to fear, to routine, to a wage, and to the mental chains passed down by weak men. These are the modern chains of psychological dependence. The most common form of modern servitude is the addiction to routine. The man who wakes each morning only to serve the vision of another, who never writes his own definite chief aim, who waits for orders, who drowns in tasks without purpose, that man is not free. That man is not fulfilled. That man is not the master. And I tell you, with the force of law, that man can be transformed. He must, or else he will become what this system designed him to be: a worker until passing away, a consumer until empty, a servant until forgotten. You must stop being merely useful and start being essential. Essential men command the flow of value. Useful men merely maintain it. The turning point, the line between labor and leadership, is self-command. Not emotion, not wish, not even effort, but command. And that command begins with the mind. A man who masters himself no longer obeys the world. The world obeys him. The market shifts to make room for his value. The people adjust to match his belief. The money moves toward his aim because he moves toward it without hesitation or fear. The authority of the world is surrendered to the authority of the self. The free man dictates the terms of his existence. The transformation from servant to commander happens first in the quality of your thoughts. I speak to you plainly now. You can pass away as a laborer or rise as a leader. The difference is not money. It is thought, discipline, and decision. You were not born to merely work. You were born to build. You were not born to be instructed. You were born to direct. You were not born to comply. You were born to create. Do not confuse your training with your potential. Your potential is bound only by the limit of your concentrated thought. And if you are still breathing, still hearing these words, it means it is not too late. But understand this. This is the final gate. You must cross it or forever live beneath it. There is no third path for the man who seeks freedom. Choose the path of command, and the universe will align with your choice, your final oath and command. You must make the definite decision to leave the servitude of the saboteurs behind. Write your definite chief aim, not tomorrow, now. Decide who you are, what you demand from life, and how you will serve others through your purpose. Make it clear, bold, and written with a specific date for achievement. This is the new law of your life. A plan not written is merely a wish. Clarity precedes mastery. Make your demand upon the universe non-negotiable. Build daily command. Do not trust motivation. Trust repetition. This is the essence of autosuggestion and persistence. Every morning, read your aim aloud. Every night, speak your belief in your wealth, your power, your identity. Shape your subconscious into the man who commands by daily shaping your words. Your daily ritual is your self-mastery contract. The repetition of discipline is the father of all miracles. Let no day pass without issuing instructions to your subconscious mind. Build income streams. A man who depends on one stream is still serving. Build systems that function without your time. Start by dedicating one concentrated hour per day to building an asset you own, a piece of specialized knowledge translated into a product, system, or writing. Let your labor fund your freedom. But do not stop at labor. Build ownership. Own the means of your own abundance. The truly free man profits while he sleeps. Your wealth must be structural, not hourly. If you ever doubt that this path works, let me remind you, I walked it. I was the son of a poor miner in the hills of Virginia. I had no inheritance, no connections, no safety, but I had a voice, I had a mind, and I had a decision that I would no longer serve the fear of poverty. I would no longer serve ignorance. I would no longer serve the chains passed down by weak men. I studied the minds of the rich Carnegie, Ford, Rockefeller, Edison, and I found that every one of them obeyed laws that most men never learn. They mastered themselves. They decided, they acted, they repeated, and they became impossible to ignore. And by mastering thought, I built a legacy. I passed down a system, not of tips, but of transformation. And so can you, but it begins now, and it begins with your refusal. Refuse to live as if you are powerless. Refuse to wake up with no aim. Refuse to sell your time for crumbs. Refuse to think small, move slow, or act weak. Refuse to pass away without building something the world cannot erase. You are not here to serve fear. You are not here to obey mediocrity. You are here to command. If you know someone, a friend, a co-worker, a family member who feels behind, who feels that the world has passed them by, or who is constantly being dragged down by the negativity of others, you have a duty to share this message with them. You are their master mind. Send them this video now and help them build their own wall of immunity. Let these final affirmations become your oath. I will not be a slave to any man. I was born to command wealth, not to work until passing away. You have lost time, yes, but the time that remains is the only time that matters. You now possess the laws of protection against the hidden saboteurs. You know where the chains are in your habits and in your environment. You know where the key is in your mind, your decision, and your willpower. You are not too late. Start now. This channel walks with you.